A lot of our customers ask, how does the veneering process work? Specifically, how does the veneering process work with our panels? As well as what is the advantage of doing the veneering with the panels? Today we're going to show how we put veneers on panels. What you just saw was a veneer saw, which basically cuts the veneer in a straight path. And we're going to take the veneer out of the veneer saw and we're going to bring it over to here is what we call our veneer stitcher. And what the veneer stitcher does is it takes these perfectly straight veneer pieces and seams them together. And how it works is it has a glue thread, almost works like a sewing machine, seams them together, remember they're perfectly straight, seams them together with a glue thread that's on the bottom so you never see the glue thread, and basically allows you to have a perfectly book-matched piece of veneer showing and illustrating the consecutive color match, grain match coming from the same tree. That is what they call a book match. The next step that we do is we take these pieces and when it comes to our panels, we do what's called a cross ply and a face ply. The cross ply goes on the bottom, the face ply goes on the face. What we're doing here is we're actually seaming the cross ply to the face ply. So we're applying a coat of glue to adhere the cross ply to the face ply. One of the key items is the cross ply and face ply go in different directions. This is important for stability as well as when the veneer is applied to the panel to remove the likelihood that you will see telegraphing between the solid and the core. We will be putting these in a press, generally go in for roughly 1 to 2 minutes. And the press, just to let you know a little bit about the press, it's a veneer press. It's actually a hot press. And you can see based on all the cylinders that are on the press that there's a lot of pressure. And what I mean with a hot press is a hot press takes that pressure and also takes the pressure plus takes heat. And the combination of those two allow the glue to set quicker, which is why it's only in the press from 1 to 2 minutes. This press puts out more than 3,000 PSI pressure on each individual part inside the press. We have this all programmed, so there's a timer that's set up, so we know exactly how long the veneer should be in place to allow the glue to set. So what we're taking out right now, we're taking out 2 plies of veneer. Each veneer has a cross and face ply. You know, it's very hot if you feel it's, and you may look and say, well, one veneer piece is bigger than the other. Not a big deal as you see our process because we overlap and then we trim down the veneer once it's the panel is shaped. The next thing we do, just like I was saying, it's oversized, so we'll score it so it's the exact size that we want. Basically, it allows it to fit more evenly on the panel. So what we'll do is we'll take the panel, make sure it fits fine. One of the things is the veneer doesn't have to be the full size of the panel. It can be a little smaller because this banding represents where the panel is going to be shaped for a raised panel. So the veneer has to cover everything at the core up to probably 1/4 to 1/2 inch. So what we're doing right now is making sure everything fits good so when it goes in the press, it evenly gets laid flat. This panel is commonly called a rim raised panel. It's almost like a picture frame where you see the solid wood around the perimeter with a stable core. One of the benefits of a panel that's built this way is you remove the likelihood of checking, splitting, cracking because the core is stable. You also limit the amount of movement because the core is, it's a material, it's a composite. For our interior products, we use MDF. For our exterior products, we use an exterior, which is like a waterproof MDF. What we're doing there, we just glued the panel. The panel is going to be laid out onto the face. You just flipped it over. This panel actually is, if you break it down, you have 2 plies, a cross and a face ply. You have your core and another cross and face ply. Each one of these panels is actually a 5-ply panel. The roller that we're using is actually a veneer roller. Called that because it gives a very consistent amount of glue being applied to as you're laying it out. One of the things that, you know, if you're looking at this saying, well, what is this tape and stuff like that? We actually lay this tape just to further reduce the potential that we can have any issues with separation. Then we put the panel in the press. Once again, over 3,000 PSI in pressure. And we program, based on what the thickness of the panel is, how long it's in there in the press. The next step of this will be, instead of the 1 to 2 minutes, it'll probably be in the 2 to 3 minutes because the core is thicker. And the next step is we'll take the panel out and basically trim it to be shaped. Press just came down, panel's done. So we take it out, we'll do an inspection of it, feel for anything that air pockets or anything that feels abnormal. Check both sides. Sometimes we'll tap it just to. And one thing with veneer, the reason you tap it, if there's any air gaps between the veneer and the core, you'll be able to hear a hollow sound. This panel will be complete. One of the last steps we'll do is we'll take a router just to fray these outer edges. And once that's done, the panel's ready to be shaped. And if you're looking at these things here, they will just be sanded off.